Okay, so I'm going to start setting up my heights because I want to work on the stairs and other things that relate to the levels you'll need. And so notice I've got AutoCAD open, so I'm going to go and open the AutoCAD file you've been given on the P drive in your interior design folder and ID modelling. In the Revit Alpaca project, you have Euston Road Building 2014. Continue, and there we are. I've got the sections, just maximise that, which should give me a pretty good idea of the heights, hopefully. Let's change back to the ribbon. And if you want to, you can insert this section into your Revit file, but it's not going to help you very much because as you work in your sections in Revit, you'll see here I've got the ground floor plan that has the AutoCAD drawing inserted into it. If you work in your section view and try and insert drawings into a view like that, you'll find that it'll get in the way when you go to set up your referencing later on. It's just a little thing in Revit. You can duplicate section and elevation views just like floor plans and other views that you've been duplicating already, but just to give you a tip, it's not recommended because those are referenced views, and so if you're setting them up just as working views, they're going to come up referenced in your floor plans and get in the way there. So that's something maybe to avoid, and instead if you need to get measurements, just measure it out of AutoCAD. So here I'll just use the measure tool and measure from floor to floor, so from the top of the ground floor to the top of the first floor is 3210. Now, have any of you been given a requirement or a measurement for that height that's different? Because I would think seriously about changing that to 3200 rather than 3210. It may be 3210 in reality, but it really wouldn't matter if it's 10 mil off, and it's much easier to work with a round number. So in Revit, I'm going to make a judgment call and say, for now, I'll make level 1 3200. If we need to change it later, it's easy to do that. Only 10 mil. And if you missed it, I've just opened up the default section view there. I haven't made any new sections or anything like that. I'm then going to just drag the levels out, and that's another tip I can give you. If you get your levels set to the extents of your project, oh no, I've gone the wrong way, sorry, back here. Right, so thinking again about the extents you're going to be working with, here I've modelled in that part of the warehouse that you aren't going to work with. So we don't need the level to go that far. I'm going to bring it right back so that it's close to this rear wall, which is the extent you have to work with, and then I'll drag the front out as well. And you'll see then, as you go into your other side views, I'll just show you in the plan again, ground floor, you can see there shows the section line pointing north. So in other words, it's viewing from the south, looking north, and it has the same view direction as the south elevation. And hopefully you know, maybe if you don't, a good tip I can give you there is to double click on an arrowhead to open a view. And so you can see therefore in my south elevation that those levels have also been adjusted. Also in the north elevation, because that's the mirror image, that level line, you can see it's been shrunk. And then in my east view, I'll do the same thing. I'll select that level and bring it outside the building. And you might have noticed with the levels that you have sometimes a little open circle at the end with 3D. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with these levels. That means you're working with the whole level. If you see 2D and a black dot, it's a 2D version of that level or an annotation view, and that works differently. So try and get them set up like this with the 3D level. It really will make your life easier when you go to fix all the views at the end. And I'm just showing you there the west elevation. Now it's done as well. So as you work through any project in Revit, it's a good idea to keep an eye on all the views and keep on top of those things. Now I'm going to go into my 3D view and start tying the walls to those levels. So you can see there, as I made the walls earlier, I didn't think too much about the levels. And that's fine. Normally you'll start projects that way. So right away I can choose these outer walls. Just using control, I'll select all of them. Oops. So if you've got curtain walls, make sure you get the outside of the wall, not a part of it. And actually I'll choose the upper walls as well, because all of those walls, except some that I'm going to change afterwards, are going to have the same height. Now when you're doing this, if you see that it doesn't give you the options you want in properties, it's because you have different objects selected. But you can always go to that panel and change it to the ones you want to work with. So I've selected a curtain grid accidentally. That's fine, I can just choose walls from the list there, and it will then give me the properties for the walls, even though I've got other things selected. Okay, and so then I can set the height there. And I'm not thinking, am I? I've done the lower levels, I haven't done my roof level yet. So I'll come back and do this again in a minute, but just to show you, that's the method. I'll go back into my elevation view now and make a new level. So with the level tool, hopefully you're used to doing this by now, I can put in one extra level for the roof. We'll just call it, I'm sure you guessed it, roof. What do you say here when it asks you to rename corresponding views? Yes, always say yes to that one. I don't even know why they ask you. You always would want that linked. And then back in AutoCAD, I'm going to measure from the top of this floor to the bottom of the roof. So you set roof heights in Revit using the bottom or the top plate in your wall or the bottom of your roof.
Jenny?
Yes, sure.
The top line, what is that? Is that the roof going to have an angle?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So we'll do that today. We're going to model it. Okay, so you can see there I've been given a distance, which is again a funny number, 2650.1876. I'm going to round that off and say 2650. Alright, so another little trick I can show you with Revit. If you want to measure the height from the previous level, you can see here this level is given from ground floor, where it's 0, just measuring up. But if I select that level, I should be able to then find a dimension measuring to the level below. And that saves a bit of adding up or subtracting, so 2650, enter, and then I can see what the total is. That can make life easier. And then back to my 3D view, I'll do what I tried before, but this time I'll make it a bit easier. Selecting with a window, I've got lots of things selected, 700 and something objects, because the curtain walls have all these different components, but I can still do what I showed you before. Walls can be chosen from that list, and now in the top constraint panel I can choose roof as the level for the top of the wall. So they've all gone down, and you can see that's more like the real building. We've then got these walls that go back behind, where you're going to have to do a bit of work on this wall, but this one and the ones coming around to the right, and also the one that's alongside the edge, the what is that, the southern wall, they can be set to have the top at level 1. Okay, so I've got already a much better idea of the form of the building, just changing the levels. And then before I do the stairs, the main thing I want to look at today is stairs. I'll just put some floors in, some very rough floors.
But we're not sure if the stairs is going to be
They're allowing us to change where the stairs
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, I want to show you how to do that existing stair.
We are still first drafting it and how it.
The existing. Yeah, it's important to be able to draw the existing and then show your changes as a separate thing. Yeah. And I'll give you some different examples though, so I'll have an idea how to do some of your own stairs. But I'll do that in another video anyway. I just want to show you the things to do with levels to begin with. And so I'll go and make a floor, and it might just remind you about a few things with floors. So, as always, when you have a tool like the floor tool, which gives you different options under the sub-menu, if you don't know which option you want to use there, don't worry about that menu. Just click on the tool, on the button, to the left of that arrow, where it says floor, and that will take you into floor by sketch. And by default, it's on pick walls, which is a good option to use. If you can pick walls to set the shape of your floor, that's going to make your life a lot easier. So I'll do that with the simple walls that I have. It will make it really easy for me to pick the outer edge of the floor, outer edge of the wall. I'll go all the way to the back of the building, so that in my section this floor shows going underneath this wall here, as it would in real life. Coming around, pick these other walls. Then I'm going to have a problem. The rest of the walls are curtain walls. And I honestly don't remember what the building looks like. Let's maybe quickly bring it up in Street View, but you can probably tell me as well. Have you seen
There's pictures on
the slab edge?
Michelle's folder.
Oh, good. Okay, let's bring that up. Okay, so which folder's that? In the P drive?
Construction and
Documentation?
Great. Yep. This one?
There's another one, too, maybe the number of the inside.
ICST2028 construction and
Has she got it on the V drive?
It's on the right there.
On P or V? Right?
I think it's very.
V. Yeah, I had a feeling. Okay, so yeah.
and then I.
Oh, I is it? Yeah, righto. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thanks. Okay, so site photo? Brilliant. Okay, I'll dump that in mine as well. But let's have a look at it. Great. Okay, so that gives you a good idea about what might be happening with the slab there. Oh, that's great. So I'm going to be able to do a lot more now that we've got these. That's really good. Okay, so you've got the upper level there. Let's see if we've got anything that shows the ground floor. Oh, here we go. So it looks like, yeah, they've got the floor level at the same height as the interior, but it's a different material. So we'll do that, tackle that with a different floor, even though it'll be at the same height. So, how do you do that in Revit? Simply pick the outer edge of your curtain wall. And to do that, you can't use pick walls. If you try to use pick walls, it's going to pick the centre line of your curtain wall, which you don't want. So instead of pick walls, another good option next to that is pick lines, which will let you pick anything. So I'll choose the outer edge there, not a problem. I just need to pick one edge on each of these curtain walls. So here, another one where it changes direction, and again, and down the bottom. Okay, so then I can simply use trim to corner and join all of those lines together. Okay, so I've got a closed shape now running around the outer edge. Tick to finish. Check it out in 3D, and you can see there going to the edge. Yeah, it's funny. Pick walls, and those different options can give you the floor edge in a funny place. When you've got different walls, it's even stranger.
I'm still confused with interior and exterior when it's like where do you want it to mesh?
Yeah, well, with ground floors,
Like exterior face or interior face?
yeah. So normally you want for the bottom floor on the outside of your wall, no matter what.
Yeah, but when it's when you're drawing like an internal wall
Yeah,
and
it doesn't matter then. So it's going to have a side.
move it to wherever you need it to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. And so I'll go and do the first floor now, and so in level 1. Right, so we'll have a curtain wall that needs to come down from this wall here, I'd say. I'll check it out properly in the photos again, but I'll just for now put in one more wall, just using storefront again, and I'm going to try and pick up the middle of this wall. Now it's not snapping to it automatically, so you can try SM, which is the shortcut to snap to midpoint, but it's probably going to get the midpoint of that longer section of the wall, not the end of this little wall. So that's not going to work. Press escape, click on the wall button, and instead I'm just going to snap to the inside of this wall to get the centre line, and then coming down I'll draw over it and then I'll come back and fix that. Here it's telling me they overlap, I know, but that's okay. And back to modify, trim to corner, I'll just trim these. Okay, so you'll see the curtain walls are going to give you a funny join at the end with 2 mullions, but you can easily change that to a corner mullion later.
With the mullions as well, are we just going off what we're only CAD drawing?
For now, yeah, but then since you've got the photos, you can easily...
Count how many and then...
Yeah, and you'll be able to do exactly that. That's a really standard setup for curtain walls, and I'll show you how to get mullions that'll work exactly like that. It'd be easy.
They said they want us to make sure like walls don't meet windows so that mullions...
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Yeah, so you should do that. Yeah, and it's easy in Revit. So I'll just get this curtain wall now and stretch that down to the bottom there, and then back to this part here. That's going to create a problem, obviously on this floor, but we'll maybe worry about that later as long as you're aware of it. There are different approaches you can use to fix that. So I'll go ahead and make another floor. And again, using pick walls, it'll let me choose the outer edge, also the inner edge this time, of that solid wall. This floor doesn't need to go into the warehouse, so I'll do the inner edge of this main wall that's dividing the spaces. And then you've got the slab. Let's get an image that has something from the outside. Here we are. So you can see there pretty clearly that the slab goes under those curtain walls, and it even projects a little bit, I'd say. So yeah, now so that projection, I don't know if anyone's been able to measure that, but I'm going to take a guess otherwise and say 50 mil. Close enough is good enough for this. Yeah, so let's say 50 mil. Okay, so again, using pick lines, I can then put an offset in on the options bar there, 50, and then go along picking those curtain walls and automatically getting the offset. Now things might need to change, but you know, it's easier to adjust things in Revit afterwards. So here you notice I'm just picking one edge on each side where the wall changes direction. There, remember, it doesn't follow that diagonal part, so I'm going to skip that, go on to the next part, and then here again one more edge. So you'll have a funny little join there. That's okay. Back to pick walls. I'll pick the outer edge of this wall and then trim away. So you've got the balcony there, I think, where the curtain wall is going to go anyway, or going to be taken away. So again, worry about that later. So something like that, but I think you might have a different detail on that corner. But again, those little details can be worried about later. One more corner to trim. There we are. So tick to finish. And if you get a message like this, what do you say? This is one where I usually say no, because I like attaching the walls I want attached. Otherwise it'll just attach them all. It will usually do a pretty good job, but I think I can do a better job. So I'll say no, but then always when you're asked about joining, this is just a graphics setup really, so I say yes every time because it saves you going and doing it yourself. I'll show you what that's going to do though. If I've said yes to the join, it means that things like this are done automatically. Right, so see how that floor there has a nice thin line where it intersects with the wall instead of a heavy line which you have above and below. So that's joined. And you'd usually want Revit to do that for you instead of manually going and picking each one and joining them yourself, which takes a lot of time. Alright, so then back into my 3D view, we can see how that's looking, and well, that wall there obviously needs to have the height set to roof. There we go, so starting to get the shape of the building. I'll put that to shaded, and then looking at the walls that stick through, you can then see which need to be attached. Okay, so these lower level walls, I can simply select them using Control. Oops, okay, that's something I don't want, so I'll deselect it with Shift, and then again Control to get the walls. This one is the funny one, so we'll leave that for now. And then attach top base, choose the floor, and if you get a message about mullions being deleted, that's usually something you'd want. So you can click delete elements and it will take those extra mullions away. And there we are, it finishes under the slab. Okay, so I'll give you some time to do that. I'll finish that video there.